Welcome to Conversations for a Better You. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell to stay inspired and keep growing with us.
All right, let's dive deep into overcoming betrayal, going way beyond those typical, surface level tips.
Right.
We're really getting into it, using
Yeah.
what you send over, especially that talk by Damchö Diana Finnegan.
Yeah.
I know this stuff is heavy,
It is.
and I really want to emphasize this, you are so not alone in this
Absolutely.
betrayal. I mean, it hits us all at some point.
Right.
And, Damchö, she's got this really unique perspective. I mean, former journalist turned Buddhist nun, PhD.
I know, right?
She's got a way of kind of blending, like, ancient wisdom with these modern struggles.
Yes.
And what I find so interesting about her approach is, like, she doesn't sugarcoat anything,
No, she doesn't.
She's like straight up betrayal. It's a double whammy. It's not just the act itself.
Right.
It's the way it digs up all that, like, that old insecurity stuff we thought we'd dealt with.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Remember that image she uses in the talk?
Oh, yeah.
About getting punched twice in the same spot?
Mm-hmm. That second blow, way worse
Mhm.
because you're already bruised.
I know. Such a powerful image.
It is.
But it's true, though, isn't it? Betrayal, it can totally rock your world.
For sure.
So let's get into those messy emotions. We're talking about, like, the fear, the shame, the anger,
Yes.
all those things that come up when someone breaks your trust.
Oh, that stuff, yeah.
And Damchö, she's, like, really clear. We shouldn't try to bottle up those feelings.
Oh, no, definitely not.
In Buddhist thought, resisting emotions actually makes them stronger.
It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater.
Exactly.
You're going to pop up somewhere else.
Yeah. So instead of saying, I shouldn't be feeling this way, we got to acknowledge them without judgment.
Right. It's like, we'd be so kind to a friend who's hurting.
Yeah.
We got to treat ourselves with that same kindness.
That's so much easier said than done, though, right?
Oh, for sure.
And it's one thing to say, accept your anger, but actually dealing with it.
Especially when you've been so deeply hurt by someone you loved.
I know. It's so tough.
Yeah, and Damchö gets it. She talks about how fear can just paralyze us after a betrayal.
Right.
You're scared of being alone, scared of starting over, or even just scared of getting close to anyone again.
Yeah.
Like your whole world suddenly feels super shaky and unreliable.
And then there's the shame. That can be so sneaky and nasty.
Oh, it really can.
It whispers those awful things like, this is all your fault,
Yeah.
or, you weren't good enough.
You weren't enough to keep them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like betraying ourselves on top of everything else.
Oh, absolutely.
So where does that shame come from?
Well, Damchö talked a lot about attachment, which is, a huge thing in Buddhism.
Right.
We get so attached to this certain image of the person, of the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
that when they betray us, it's like our whole reality shatters.
Like we're clinging to a dream and now we're forced to wake up.
Oof, that's a good one.
Okay, so I'm starting to get how this Buddhist lens can actually be really helpful here.
Yeah.
We've got this, like, tornado of fear, shame, anger, and attachment swirling around.
Yeah. Where do we even start to find some solid ground in all this chaos?
Damchö calls it finding safe harbor. It's about getting support from those who can truly listen without judging.
Right.
Not the friends who are all about giving advice or telling you what to do,
Yeah.
but those who can just, like, hold space for your pain.
That really resonates with me
Me too.
because there's something so powerful about feeling truly seen and heard,
Yes.
especially when you feel so raw and vulnerable. It's like, someone throws you a life preserver when you're drowning,
Exactly.
but reaching out, it's not always easy.
No, not at all.
After a betrayal, it's tempting to just, shut everyone out,
You just want to hide away.
partly because you might be afraid of what people will think,
Yeah.
that judgment.
But Damchö makes a really good point.
What's that?
She says, most people have experienced betrayal in some way,
Oh, that's true.
So we're not alone in this, We're not the only ones who have gone through this. There's something she mentions in her talk that I hadn't thought about before.
Oh, what's that?
She's like, don't rush into a new relationship just to fill the void
Oh, yeah.
because it's tempting, right, to try to replace that lost connection.
Oh, for sure.
But she makes a good point that, that can actually slow down the healing.
Totally. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone.
Right.
It's not going to fix the problem.
It's about giving yourself the time and space to heal those wounds, to rediscover yourself outside of that relationship.
Right, and to figure out what you really need.
And want in a healthy connection.
Exactly.
So we've talked about acknowledging those intense emotions and
Yes.
finding support.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this big, like, elephant in the room when it comes to betrayal. forgiveness.
The big one.
It feels almost impossible sometimes, doesn't it?
It can, yeah.
But Damchö, she has this really different take on forgiveness.
Oh, yeah, it's really interesting.
She reminds us that forgiving someone doesn't mean you're saying what they did was okay.
Right, exactly.
Or that you're pretending it didn't happen.
It's not about them.
It's about freeing yourself
Yes.
from that pain, from that anger,
It's about you taking back your power.
and your peace of mind.
Exactly.
It's like she says in the talk,
Yep.
forgiveness is a journey, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
It's about taking those small steps
One day at a time.
towards letting go of the resentment and anger.
And, that can be such a powerful act of self-compassion.
So we're about to get into the really deep stuff here.
Oh, yeah, the good stuff.
But before we do, I just want to remind you, this is your deep dive.
This is for you.
What's standing out to you so far?
What's hitting home?
What feels particularly relevant to your own experience?
Take a moment to think about that before we dive deeper into Damchö's insights on forgiveness.
And how it can actually be a stepping stone to something pretty incredible
Spiritual growth.
amidst the wreckage of betrayal.
Who would have thought, right?
Mm.
It's funny how we think of forgiveness as something we do for the other person.
Right.
But Damchö, she really turns that around.
Yeah, she's all about forgiveness being for you.
For you, exactly.
About letting go of all that,
And resentment, the anger. Yeah.
that baggage.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
And she connects it to this Buddhist idea of impermanence.
Oh, interesting.
Everything's always changing.
Right, including how we feel.
So those feelings of betrayal, as awful as they are, they won't last forever.
That's such a good point.
It's easy to get stuck in that immediate pain
Totally.
and feel like it's going to consume you,
Like it's never going to end.
But if we can remember, everything changes, even the bad stuff,
Yeah.
it might make it a bit easier to handle.
I think that's where the Buddhist perspective can be so helpful,
Right.
It's like holding on to anger and resentment is like drinking poison
Oh, wow.
and expecting the other person to die.
It's so true.
It just keeps us stuck,
In the past.
Unable to move on.
But forgiveness, that's how we break free.
Exactly. It's like setting yourself free from a prison you built yourself.
Okay. I'm getting this. I really am.
Good.
But I gotta admit, forgiving someone who hurt me that badly still feels huge.
It's a big step.
How do I even begin?
Well, Damchö says to think of it as a practice, not like this one-time thing.
Okay.
Something we work on over time,
Little by little.
Yeah, exactly.
In her talk, she uses this analogy.
Oh, I love her analogies.
It's like, a garden that's been taken over by weeds.
Oh.
You wouldn't expect to clear it all at once, right?
No way.
You start small, pulling out a few weeds each day,
Bit by bit.
and eventually the garden's beautiful again.
It's a process, right?
I love that image.
Me too.
Forgiveness could start with just acknowledging the hurt without blaming yourself or choosing to focus on something good instead of dwelling on the betrayal.
It's about making those conscious choices every day.
Yeah, to shift your energy towards healing.
Exactly.
It makes me think about times I've held on to resentment and how draining it is.
Oh, it's exhausting.
Carrying around a heavy weight.
Mm.
Forgiveness. Then it's like setting that weight down.
And finally being able to breathe again.
Feeling lighter.
Yeah, exactly.
And that lightness, it creates space for something amazing to happen.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
Spiritual growth.
Damchö talks about this.
Yeah, I know. It's fascinating.
How betrayal, even though it hurts so much,
it can be a catalyst for a deeper understanding of ourselves.
now the world.
I know you're interested in this, how this experience can lead to something positive.
Oh, absolutely.
So how does Damchö see it? How is betrayal a springboard for spiritual growth?
Well, she says it often forces us to confront things,
Like a love.
uncomfortable truths about ourselves and people we thought we knew.
Oh, yeah.
It shatters those illusions,
Like the rose-colored glasses come off.
Exactly.
And it reveals patterns we might not have seen before.
Those patterns that maybe led to the betrayal in the first place.
Like ignoring red flags.
Yeah, or putting someone else's needs before our own.
But by facing those hard truths,
It's not easy, but
we can learn and make better choices next time.
it's like that saying, sometimes you got to break down to break through.
So it's not about avoiding pain or pretending everything's fine.
No, not at all.
It's about leaning into that discomfort.
Using it as a chance to, dig deeper into ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that digging often leads to more self-awareness,
Okay.
more resilience, more compassion,
So we start to see ourselves and others.
with more clarity, more understanding.
But how do we actually make that shift? from breakdown to breakthrough.
That's the million-dollar question, really.
It's one thing to say, oh, this betrayal is a chance to grow.
But actually experiencing that transformation,
Yeah.
that's something else.
Damchö emphasizes practices that nurture, like our inner strength and wisdom.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
She specifically mentions mindfulness and meditation.
Makes sense, given her background.
Right. But I think a lot of people might find meditation, especially during a tough time,
Oh, totally.
a bit intimidating.
Like one more thing to do when you're already overwhelmed.
Exactly.
But Damchö describes it as a way to connect with this, like, inner peace,
Okay.
the stability within ourselves.
It's like finding that calm spot amidst the chaos.
Yes, that inner anchor that keeps us grounded no matter what's going on.
It's not about emptying your mind or forcing yourself to feel a certain way.
No.
It's about noticing your thoughts and feelings.
Observing them without judgment.
Letting them come and go like clouds.
That's a good...
So instead of being swept away by those emotions,
We learn to ride the waves.
that ability to observe without being consumed, that's huge for healing.
Oh, it's a game changer.
I think about all those times I spiraled after a betrayal. The self-blame, the anger. If I could just pause, observe those thoughts and feelings without judgment.
It makes such a difference, wouldn't it?
I think so.
Mindfulness gives us that space,
Yeah. Between us and our reactions,
So we can choose how to respond.
instead of just like reacting impulsively.
Yeah, it's powerful.
And that choice.
Yeah,
That's where our true power lies.
exactly.
We're getting deep into Damchö's teachings here,
We are.
but I don't want to lose sight of the fact that this is your deep dive.
This is for you.
What's hitting home for you about this idea of spiritual growth after betrayal.
Does it feel possible, given what you're going through?
Really sit with that question.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it.
We will.
But first, let's switch gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about something that often gets overlooked after betrayal.
What's that?
Community.
Connection. Yeah.
How important that is for healing.
It's huge.
Yeah, after you've been betrayed, it's so easy to like withdraw,
Oh, totally.
isolate yourself. You might feel like no one gets it.
Right, like no one understands what you're going through.
Or you might be scared of, being judged or hurt again.
That's so understandable, though.
Yeah.
It's a natural human response.
Yeah, we want to protect ourselves when we're hurting.
Absolutely.
But Damchö reminds us, like, we're actually wired for connection.
Oh, yeah. She talks about
It's
that.
in our DNA.
We need each other.
And isolating ourselves, even though it feels safer in the moment,
Yeah, in the short term.
it can actually slow down healing.
Makes sense.
We talked earlier about getting support from, friends and family. But what if those relationships have been messed up by the betrayal?
Oh, that's tough.
What if the person who betrayed you was, like, someone you thought you could always count on?
Yeah, that's a really hard situation.
They can make you doubt everyone.
Yeah, it can really shake your faith in people.
Make you question everything.
But Damchö's point is, even if your close circle's been affected, there are still people out there who can offer genuine support.
Okay.
She suggests, maybe trying different things. Support groups,
Okay.
therapy,
Right.
or even like spiritual communities.
And I think it's important to remember
What's that?
asking for help isn't weak.
No, not at all.
It actually takes courage to admit you need help.
Yeah, and to reach out.
It's a sign of strength and self-awareness.
I love that, yeah.
And it's in those moments of, like, vulnerability and connection that we often experience the deepest healing.
That's where the magic happens.
There's something so powerful about feeling seen and heard by someone who's been there.
Who gets it?
It reminds us, we're not alone.
And that there's hope.
In one of those articles you sent,
Yeah.
there's this quote from Damchö that really stuck with me.
Tell me.
She says, when we isolate ourselves, we give our pain more power. When we connect with others, we share the burden and create space for healing.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I know, right? It really speaks to the power of, like, shared experience.
It's like we all have a piece of the puzzle.
And
We
together,
can create a more complete picture.
of healing, of wholeness.
Yeah, I love that.
So we've talked about the emotional roller coaster of betrayal.
It's a lot.
The importance of being kind to ourselves and forgiving.
Forgiving ourselves, and maybe others too.
The power of mindfulness and meditation.
Those practices can be so grounding.
And the need for connection and community.
We need each other.
But there's one more piece we haven't really explored.
Oh, what's that?
Remembering your worth.
Ah, yes, that's huge.
This is where Damchö's Buddhist background really comes in.
Yeah, she's big on that.
She reminds us that no matter what someone's done,
No matter how much they hurt us.
it doesn't change our value as human beings.
That's so important to remember.
It's so easy to forget that when you've been betrayed, though.
Oh, I know.
You start questioning everything about yourself.
Your judgment, your lovability.
Like, am I even sane?
It can really mess with your head.
It's like betrayal chips away at your sense of self.
Exactly.
And that's why it's so important to reclaim that worthiness.
To remember who you truly are.
It's not about being arrogant or anything.
No, not at all.
It's about recognizing that your worth doesn't come from someone else.
It's not about what other people think.
It comes from within.
It's inherent.
Damchö uses this analogy of a jewel.
Oh, I love this one.
She says, each of us is like this unique, precious jewel.
Inherently valuable.
And just like a jewel, our worth doesn't go away, even if it's like buried under dirt and debris.
Yeah, it might be hidden for a while.
But it's still shining underneath.
It's still there.
So how do we get to that inner jewel?
Yeah, how do we remember our worth when it feels like it's shattered?
Damchö suggests practices that are all about, like, self-love
Okay.
and compassion.
Treating ourselves like we'd treat a good friend.
Exactly.
With kindness, understanding.
Speaking to ourselves with love and encouragement.
Not criticism and judgment.
Oh, man. I'm so much harder on myself than I would ever be on a friend.
I think we all do that.
We take in those negative messages from other people.
And then we become our own worst enemies.
That's why self-compassion is so important.
It's a game changer.
It's about realizing we're all imperfect.
We all make mistakes.
And it's okay to be gentle with ourselves.
Especially when things are tough.
This deep dive has been quite a ride.
It has.
We've gone from, like, the depths of despair,
To glimmers of hope.
from the rawness of betrayal.
To the potential for healing and transformation.
It's been amazing to explore these, complex themes with you.
I've really enjoyed it.
And I hope our listener has found some helpful insights along the way.
Me too.
As we wrap up, what's sticking with you?
What feels most important?
Is there a particular insight, a quote, a practice that feels especially relevant to your own journey?
Take a moment to think about that.
Let it sink in.
Let it resonate.
Remember, healing from betrayal, it's a journey.
Not a destination.
It's a process of, like, unfolding,
Getting those old layers.
rediscovering your strength and wholeness.
It's about coming back to yourself.
And even though the path might be tough at times, remember, you are not alone.
There are people who understand
Who've been there
and are here to support you.
every step of the way.
You got this.
So be kind to yourself.
Be patient.
Trust that you have everything you need
Within you.
to come out of this experience stronger, wiser.
And more radiant than ever before.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.
Thanks for joining us on Conversations for a Better You. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more content to help you grow. See you next time.